Hi guys, welcome to the Memberry Merch Review Show. This is something that I've always wanted to do on this page ever since we started. Hopefully, this becomes a regular feature, and I want to get all of you guys on this. So maybe one day we can get a few people on here to give their thoughts about, the latest movies that came out, and either as a live stream or pre-recorded videos, and see if it takes us anywhere. There are not a lot of English, movie reviews in Malaysia. There are a few, but not a lot, and especially the ones that cover video games, movies and TV shows that we seem to get a lot lately. So hopefully, we can do more of this. And today I want to have a look at Disney Plus latest offering, which is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Watched it last night. Movie came out earlier this year on cinema, but because of the pandemic and the fact that the cinemas have just been reopened recently, I couldn't get the chance to go and watch it. But I was hoping to watch it on Disney Plus anyway because eh, I thought that it was a movie that I was excited to go and watch. So I thought wait for the Disney Plus. Uh, and I did watch it last night, and I have to say I didn't really enjoy it, which really made me want to do this video because I have seen a lot of reviews by a lot of fans who said that they enjoyed it, and I've spoken to a few people as well. They say they loved it, but it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. I think I had the Dune fever. I watched the Dune, and I was reminded again what cinema used to be like when I was younger, and that was a great experience. Dune, I mean, Dune was a great experience. Watched it, and for the first time in a long time, I turned next to my friend and said, this is a fucking awesome movie. I mean, it's a great movie, and it's a film. It's a proper film. Then unfortunately, I had to watch Shang-Chi, and I was like brought back down to the level, and oh, it was so bad, and I couldn't stand it. I was watching through it, and there was so many problems with the film, and it just felt like a, I don't know, like a group project, like a uni project with a lot of money behind it. Didn't feel right. I don't know why anybody would have sanctioned the script. Why would anybody release the movie in that state? It wasn't boring. It wasn't boring. There were moments that were exciting and fun to watch, as with all Marvel movies, even Black Widow. But the storyline was poor. The characters were poor. So I just want to talk about a few things, maybe a few minutes. Take some of your time if you like it. Say something in the comments. I would love to hear what you think. I'm sure a lot of people enjoyed this movie. It's just not for me, and the let's get into it. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is characters, right? So there were a lot of characters for an origin superhero movie. There were a lot of characters, and this has been a Marvel problem. Maybe because they want to sell toys, so they need to have you know a lot of characters to start with, and multiple versions of the characters. With uniform, without uniform. That's how they do it, right? But the problem with that is that the characters are dull and boring. They all were very one-dimensional all throughout the film. They didn't change. There were no development, and it was really disappointing. Even the main characters and the villain didn't have any real chemistry. And the main character and his sidekick, friend slash I don't know, girlfriend didn't have chemistry as well. She's just strung along on his adventure. Uh, Probably because his character is really one dimensional and boring, that they needed another character to kind of like enhance or give it a bit of color and fun. It was really bad, and the villain is usually something that I look forward to in every superhero movie, because superhero is one thing, but as I have always said, when I have this data rate session with friends and things like that, all the best superhero movies are made by the villains. The villains are usually the star of a superhero movie. The superhero themselves are great, but they are a constant. They are already there, and people go to see them. But the villain makes a story. The villain character is the thing that drives the story, because the whole idea of a supervillain for me is that most of the time they are doing this because they don't have a choice. They're thrown into this world where they have to save lives, they have to rescue people and things like that. They have no choice, and all these choices are created because the supervillains exist. So the villains are very important. However, in this movie, the villain is unremarkable. It's so flat. Tony Leung is a brilliant actor. I think we watch all his movies all his lives, and he's great in comedies, he's great in action, he's great in drama, he's great in everything. But in this one, but great accent, by the way. Like, usually Asian actors coming onto the Hollywood scene, they can't really, enunciate really well. I mean, but this one, there was, his pronunciation and delivery was actually quite good. So that's good. I mean, his acting was good, but the way the character was written was really bad. I felt, the motivation was unclear, and even when we find out about the motivation, it was huh, what? You're going to blow up the door of this, you know, um, interdimensional portal or whatever, just because you hear the sound of your wife speaking to you. It's very sketchy and very very dull. And another thing is the origin of the rings. We didn't really know where it came from. He just happened to have it, um, and it wasn't really a ring. It was a ring, but in the original comics they were actual rings, right? And it was more like a bracelet, uh, hand armor thing. And this movie was clearly set up to be a hero's journey. I mean, it's typical. It's very simple. Origin story are all about hero's journey. You have the hero. He starts off, and he meets a mentor. Mentor, shows him on the path of the hero's journey, and then he meets obstacles, the villain, and in order for him to ascend to the next level, he has to beat the villain. So it's a very simple, standard, Greek mythology hero's journey, but the characters are introduced at the wrong places. Yeah, so even even a movie or a story as poor as Percy Jackson's Lightning Thief had everything in the correct places. You know, the hero is introduced at the beginning. He's very unclear, very unsure. Okay, fine, but then you have the funny friend, the satyr character who follows him around. But then you got to meet the mentor first, because the mentor puts him on the right journey. But Shang-Chi doesn't get to see his mentor all the way until like the third act, where he meets Michelle Yeoh character. What's her name? Yan Ling or something like that. And that's the funny thing, she needs to meet her much earlier, so that he understands what is his purpose, not at the end of the movie. So there's already like a wrong kind of format to the entire movie. So you get thrown off. You don't feel that everything is in the right place, and the character are very okay. So you have too many characters. So what are you gonna do, Marvel? So Marvel, what they decide to do? Okay, let's just put them in costumes and make them as tropey as possible. So Michelle Yeoh is Michelle Yeoh kung fu character. Everybody knows that, so we don't have to explain too much. So she's that, okay? And bad guy is bad guy, and then you have random, Asian uncle archer guy. So who, by the way, if I think people know about this. I think people who are familiar with this guy should know about who he is. Um, he is, what's his name? Oh man, is Hua Yun, right? Hua Yun. So he plays Master Guangbo. So Hua Yun is this like old school, really popular, really great actor from Hong Kong cinema back when, right? So he's been in Bruce Lee movies, he's been in Stephen Chow movies. So he's excellent. I mean, why wasn't he the what you call that, the mentor character? So he should have been the mentor character. He would be great as a mentor character. Maybe the language barrier might be there, but half of the movie is spoken in Mandarin anyway, in Chinese anyway. So why not do that? Yeah. So that's a missed opportunity for me, I think. Like Michelle Yeoh is an international movie star, but yeah, nah, not for me in this one. And of course, because it's a Marvel movie, they needed an annoying punchline character, right? They needed Katie Aquafina to be that one person who, in a moment of uh, seriousness, when the characters are discussing something really important, who just comes in and like, here's a joke right now, in the middle of this really important exposition. Here's a joke. Chicken, beef, or vegetarian. There you go. And they had to do that. And I don't understand this disease in Marvel movies where every time, every single time they have to do that. They have to throw in a punchline. It's tiring, is overdone. I'm over it, what why? It doesn't really make sense. And then Trevor Slattery, which was one of my favorite characters in the Iron Man 3, even though he wasn't Mandarin, he was really funny. He made an appearance, but basically he does nothing in the film. He's a plot device, and I don't understand why he's there. It doesn't make sense. He's another character, unnecessary character put in there that serves nothing, that serves no function, right? And another character that I felt was absolutely totally wasted was the Death Dealer. The Death Dealer was awesome. Like, if you watch the movie, you know what I mean. From the beginning, you look at the Death Dealer and say, yes, that's the final boss. That's the guy that you have to fight at the end of the movie. He's amazing looking. He's got the mask thing going on, and his choreography with Shang-Chi, was excellent. And unfortunately, it didn't work out, and he died like a bitch, you know. And yeah, that sucked. That sucks. Oh, spoilers, by the way. Don't care. Should have watched it. It's on TV now. But then let's move on to plot. And yeah, plot is all over the place. It's typical Marvel plot. Everything starts with uh, you know, the main character, learning a little bit about the background and the origin story of the main characters, and then it ends with this huge, big CGI battle, right? Very straightforward Marvel movie. But what happened in this film is like everything is dumbed down so badly. It's almost like they were trying to make a PG film or a U film for children. It's like one of those really bad Disney children superhero movies. You know what I mean? Like really, really dumbed down for children. And the film doesn't trust the audience, doesn't trust the audience to understand things visually, because it keeps stopping and doing its exposition thing. Every single scene, you have to stop in the middle, and there's a flashback. There's exposition, exposition, exposition. This is why. This is why. This is why. And you are looking at that, and you're like, oh, this is not a journey. This is a movie about flashbacks. This is flashback movie. We are already at the end of the movie. We're just watching all the flashbacks, when all the flashbacks should have been the movie. The flashbacks are more interesting than the actual movie itself. If you put all the flashbacks together, right, that should have been Shang-Chi 1, and this should be Shang-Chi 2, right? Because you cannot cover the villain story and the main character story in 19 minutes. You can't have both of them. Like a lot of really good superhero movies, I think, have the hero's development done in the first movie with a very minor villain, right? Or a villain that doesn't really need a lot of exposition. Then you go to the second movie, where you bring in the big one, like the Joker, or and somebody who's like really important to come in and really challenge the hero. But you already have the hero story in the first one, so he's more developed, and we understand him now. So when the villain comes in, changes everything all over again, and that's more interesting. But the main character development is rushed. We don't know how he actually felt at the beginning of the movie. We don't know like what is his motivation. Is he a slacker? Is he a motivated guy? What is his point in life? What is his place in life? We don't know. I mean, you need Wong to come in at the end to tell him, hey, you're a superhero now, you have responsibilities and things like that. And he's like, oh, let me put my hand in my my jacket here, and it's so dumb. Okay, you can't do this. It's just, it's criminal. And plot devices all over the place just to move things along, because the writers are stuck. They write themselves so many times in a corner. They need to put in a plot device so that, oh, we have to move to another place, we have to go to another place, do something else over there, and then we introduce another device there so that we can go to another place again, right? So out of nowhere, we needed to create a situation where the main characters find the village first. Therefore, we introduced this, what do you call it, Trevor Slattery and the weird looking dog thing, whatever, flying dog thing. I don't know. It's just dumb. It is dumb. And lastly, I want to talk about the visuals, overall visuals, and it looked green screen. As soon as the main characters left San Francisco, it was just studio and green screen. The lighting looks really, really fake. The entire village looked like a set. It would look like a set built on a studio lot. I don't know if it was, but it looked really bad. It doesn't even look lived in. And old school kung fu movies were really good at it. They built sets. Old school kung fu movie built entire towns for their films, and these towns used to look really realistic and really believable. With people who lived there that looked like they lived there. But this town looked weird. It looked like, a bunch of, I don't know, immortal people living without food or something like that. Everybody's dressed nicely and just walking around. There's no evidence that this is a real ecosystem with people living there, because it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter to the writers. These small details don't matter. But I think for an audience, you look at those things as indicator that, because you want to suspend your belief, right? You want to make sure that you buy into the story, into the movie. But when the setup is really bad and not really well thought out, so you just kind of like, whatever, doesn't matter. Audience don't care. Audience focus on the main character. So poorly done. It's just shoddy kind of filmmaking, in my opinion, anyway. And probably because they spend all their money on the big CGI fight at the end, like, just allocate a bunch of millions to the big kaiju fight at the end. At least people will go home happy because they can talk about that kaiju fight. But I didn't care because I didn't understand who the monsters were and where's this guy came from, because, like, you try to explain everything that will happen at the end of the movie in the third act. Like, in the third act, I'm finding out about a guardian. Oh, you didn't nobody mentioned a guardian before. Oh, by the way, by the way, there's like a big evil demon living behind this thing, and it's gonna come out, and everybody's like, oh, okay. So it's stupid, because when the thing does come out, it's like, oh, it's amazing, but then after it's done, you'd be like, well, what's the setup? This is not a payoff. This is just like a clip within the movie that doesn't fit into the entire story, right? Okay, so what would have been better for the movie was basically a death dealer versus Shang-Chi at the end, with his dad not really a kung fu guy, more like a, sitting Fu Manchu, or Mandarin sitting on the throne, while these two, sort it out. Death Dealer could be the sister. I don't know, something like that. But would have been more interesting, right? Would have been more interesting. Shang-Chi killed the sister, bam, and they're like, oh yeah, you made me fight my sister, blah blah blah, something like that. I don't know. Not this thing. Okay, so yeah, I think, but that's the bit that I do like, though. Like, out of the entire movie, I do like the kung fu fight scenes. The kung fu fight scenes were really amazing. They were well choreographed. As with, I mean, probably they got like, proper choreographer from Hong Kong. Hong Kong kung fu movie comes in, train the actors, you know, get the fights done really, really well, and they were really well. Death dealer movement, bam, and even Tony Leung's character, amazing. Shang-Chi when he's fighting, amazing, So that was good, but why couldn't that be the movie? Why couldn't Kung Fu be the central theme of the movie? And that would sell, that would sell to the Asian market really, really well because we haven't had a proper Kung Fu movie for a while. So Marvel could have leaned in on that, it could have leaned in on that and made a really, really good Marvel Kung Fu movie, right? Didn't need to be part of the Avengers universe, whatever BS, uh, you know, and you were trying to shoehorn that thing with Wong coming in, coming out. And if you ask anybody, everybody would say like the thing that really they got excited would be the mid credit scene with Wong, and also the fight with the monster thing that Wong had. What's it called? Wong had a fight with a with a monster friend, and he featured again during the mid credit. I think those two were like memorable moments that people do talk about. So, are people going to see movies because of mid credit scenes and tie into the bigger universe, or are they actually going there to watch a movie? And that's what the problem is. People go there and say, "Oh, how is this connected to Thanos? How is this connected to what? And oh, are they? Who's the big bad? Who's the next Thanos? And things like that." And it's horrible uh, filmmaking, and I don't think it's sustainable, right? So Marvel Phase 4 is really not doing well in everybody's mind anyway, in my opinion, because it's trying to replicate the previous success, but not doing it as well. They're trying to repeat what they did before, but with lesser interesting characters, lesser interesting stories, and so on. So, I guess that's what I thought about Shang-Chi. I think it might be an entertaining movie for a 9-year old, 10-year old. They might watch it and they go ooh ah, but for comic book movies lovers, for movie lovers, it might be a bit too juvenile. It's not something that for everybody. And I wish that Death Dealer could have been more central character, more important character in this film. That would have made it for me, I think. Um, but anyway, I just wanted to also promote the KL Collectors Market, which is going to be happening at the end of this month, 27 and 28 November, at the Central Piazza KL Gateway. It's just Bangsa South area there, KL Gateway. Great mall, large space, not too many people, so don't be afraid of going there. We'll be there. Singleton is gonna be there. Vintage Bro is gonna be there. The three of us, we always do it together. And if you're looking for t-shirts, obviously, movie t-shirt, superhero t-shirts, uh, rock music t-shirts, and watches. Right, Vintage Bro is gonna bring some vintage watches to the market, and then you can have a look, and if you love them, you can buy them off us. And I'll be doing some deep discount on t-shirts as well, so please, 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 please come and say hello. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.